Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface, and okay, I'll see you in a couple of hours' time. Take care, bye for now. Hi everybody, it's just a mere 4 hours later actually, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing why the World of Warcraft needs to become exactly that, and every single zone in this game needs to scale up to the top level. But before I do, let me just get my quests for Arathi Highland. Kill 20 of them. 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 And finally, kill 20 of them.
Farewell.
Inspired stuff, Blizzard. Inspired. There might be many of you out there a bit like myself, just absolutely bored to death with Battle for Azeroth already. All I seem to do with the game right now is log on, see who the emissary is, do those 3 or 4 quests, hand it in, and log off. And if I want to progress my character any further, I have to do Mythic Plus dungeons or raiding, neither of which I want to do now. And when I feel forced into going down a specific avenue of content, then I kind of push back, because this is an MMORPG and I should have rather a lot of choice about what I want to do in the game. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It angers and frustrates me at how great the game actually looks and how little there is to physically do in it. It's actually mind-boggling when you come to think about it. All this time and effort that's put in to creating these vast landscapes for Blizzard to literally push them away and make them irrelevant within just a couple of weeks. But the scope goes even further, because it's not just Tiragard Sound or Drustvar or Stormsong Valley. It's the whole World of Warcraft. Virtually everywhere is utterly redundant in the outside world. And this is just stupidity. It's complete and utter madness, because your outside world is the biggest canvas that you have to create. But don't get me wrong, sometimes I just wish Blizzard would stop creating. But let's just, for argument's sake, say that we're dealing with people who actually give a shit. Recently, Blizzard made some changes to the way that you level up in the World of Warcraft. They brought in some world scaling, and ultimately it just proved to be a bit of a placebo and nothing more. It slightly enhanced existing players' leveling up experience, in as much as you could stay longer in a zone and experience the full story before having to move on. And it did combine certain expansions together, so you actually had a little bit more choice. But it was pretty much putting a band-aid over a gaping head wound. And on top of that, it did nothing for brand spanking new players to the World of Warcraft. Blizzard has always maintained that 90% of brand new players never make it past level 10. The world scaling that they brought in wouldn't have any effect on that whatsoever, because they'd still be doing the same thing in the same area at the same time, killing the same mob, blah blah blah. There was nothing which fundamentally changed the way that the leveling system worked. And I think it's quite apparent that Blizzard really don't care about your leveling experience, and this is summed up very nicely indeed by simply doing this. And as we can see, we stopped getting anything brand spanking new long ago. No 110 ability, no 120 ability. And every time a new expansion rolls around, these just get shifted from one line to another line. Some get knocked out, some old spells which we've had before get brought in, and then we're told, hey, guess what, everyone? You've got a new spec. Where is that additional spark that we get from leveling up? So intrinsically, Blizzard is saying to us that the leveling up process doesn't really matter that much in the World of Warcraft. We're 7 expansions deep now. And they're kind of right there, you know. Leveling is simply a means to an end to get to the top-end content, which Blizzard seem very, very eager to push you towards. Even every expansion today comes with a character boost. They want you to jump straight in to everything that's going on. Which in Battle for Azeroth isn't a lot, but that's not important right now. It's definitely not for this video anyway. But the simple fact of the matter is, leveling could be utilised for a completely different purpose. Leveling could be utilised as a way to teach people about the class that they have chosen. And it's just a simple means to an end to maybe throw in a few relevant storylines to go alongside that. But ultimately, push the player to the top level where the fun would be. And a lot of fun for people in an MMORPG is exploring, is getting out into the world. This is the greatest area that Blizzard will ever have. All of these areas at their disposal, and they are barely using any of it. Even in the current day expansions now, these areas are so mute and boring and useless. We're probably spending a lot more of our time just sat here queuing up, waiting for things to pop. It's actually rather scandalous if you think about it. So if Blizzard decided to scale the whole world to the top level, just imagine how much that would open up to every single person. If you were to have rares of the existing zones already scaling up to your current level, if every drop from any mob scaled to your current level, and obviously if you were a profession user, then you would get the relevant profession items from these mobs too, based off your current level. It would allow you to seek out treasure chests which are scattered all over the world here, and the things that are inside would scale to your level. It would also really expand the idea of war mode, which, from my understanding, I don't personally PvP, but from my understanding, PvPers are actually rather enjoying. Just imagine if the war wasn't just in a few convenient places. Just imagine if the war could literally be anywhere, because let's face it, who's really level 120 hanging out in Stranglethorn Vale right now looking for a fight? Well, apart from every rogue that's still ganking people leveling up. That goes without say. Could you just imagine what a completely different dynamic that would introduce to the World of Warcraft? Where you hit the top level, whatever it may be. I personally think we should operate off a Paragon system based off power, but, you know, that's by the by. And you could look around at the world quests, if Blizzard chose to once more churn that dross out, and say to yourself, nah, I'm good. I'm good, thanks. I'm going to go round the world instead. I'm going to go round Draenor. I'm going to go round Hellfire Peninsula, even better version of the place, and I'm gonna fight creatures the same level as me here, and I'm gonna see what items drop. I mean, because you'd have so many more levels to choose from, so many more zones to choose from with which to do this sort of thing, you could immediately get rid of Warforging and Titan Forging nonsense, because there'd be so much more potential gear for people to find organically. You could have little tweaks and changes. You could put extra little secrets here and there, extra little special things for people to discover. You could even attach those to the drop rates of mobs if you so desired. It just leads for such better scope. And just imagine if a new expansion drops and you're saying to yourself, okay, that's awesome, but I'd like to do my leveling somewhere completely different. And I'll catch up on the main storyline of the new expansion in a little bit. Blizzard have got to check their ego at the door, something which I think they find very hard to do. I think it's a very ego-driven company by the looks of it. Simply unable to handle criticism and simply unable to enact change. They think everything they're doing is perfect, and it really isn't at all. Things like this mean a lot to a player. Being able to go out into any zone, anywhere, and be able to do relevant content just gives a player so much more to do and makes the whole of the world feel so much more valuable. Games like The Elder Scrolls Online and Final Fantasy XIV, games which have had additional expansions. And I'll take Final Fantasy XIV first because they operate off a very similar system to the World of Warcraft when it comes to leveling, when it comes to shifting zones as you get higher and higher in level. Even at top game, there is still relevant content in the very first areas of any map. You can still do fates, you can still do this, you can still do that. There are things that you can go back to always. In World of Warcraft, there isn't. The smartest move the Elder Scrolls Online ever did, and what makes the game a whole load of fun to play right now, is the fact that it doesn't matter what level you are. You can go anywhere. And every single creature, every single mob is scaled to you. The reason why I bring this in is because Blizzard have the technology. They have the technology to do this. They have the scaling technology, and they have the ability to make all these incredible areas, all these areas which mean so much to so many people, make him relevant again. And hell's bells, even if you decided to keep your leveling structure the way it is, you could just have a brand new player say, right, I've just done a little tutorial in my starting zone, Northshire Abbey, Echo Isles, wherever. I can go anywhere that I choose to level up. Hell, I could even go to Kul Tiras or Zandalar and start to experience the latest expansion there and then, thanks to this scaling technology. To me, it's an absolute no-brainer to have such an unmitigated waste of not just assets, but time and energy that's been put into creating these unbelievably special areas. Just beggars belief. You have the technology to utilize them. You have the ability to utilize them. Why are you not utilizing them? Hell, it could even breathe new life into areas like this, expansions which went down like a turd sandwich. I often think to myself, why don't Blizzard do these things? And as cruel as it may sound, I come to one conclusion. I don't think Blizzard devs even play their own game. I don't. I could believe that they possibly raid. I could believe that they might be coerced into leveling up their character, although something tells me that's probably passed on to a junior member of the team to actually do for them. But do they actually get out into the game and they really truly experience it? Just the content that's put in makes me absolutely, unequivocally believe not. They can't do. Because they can't experience what they're doing with the world, and they can't experience what they're doing with the game and say, in full good conscience, hey, that's absolutely fantastic. That's good stuff. It just doesn't add up. I think they get so consumed with stats and numbers and maths and multiplication and all this time that's been wasted on Azerite gear, which is just garbage anyway. It's just nonsense. It's an MMO RPG and people want fun. Sure, raiders want to raid. Sure, dungeoneers want to dungeoneer. But there's a whole load of people out there that just want to have fun and explore and have a relevant world wherever they go. So Blizzard, why don't you make it happen? This is something which should be enacted ASAP. But I'm not Blizzard. I'm just some guy. Some guy that is looking for a bit of fun in his game. And some guy that is struggling to find it. Only 6 weeks in to a brand new expansion. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up. And also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links down in the description box down below. And I'll be that'll do. That'll do.